Welcome back. NFL returns tonight. As I'm recording this, it is Thursday, September 5th. When this is made, it'll be Friday. So we'll have the Ravens-Chiefs game over with. Let me know in the comments what you guys have about the game, some of the predictions for this weekend. My predictions, we'll see if I'm right or not. Chiefs win a close one. I think Mahomes goes crazy. I think Kelsey looks good. I think Derrick Henry has 2 rushing touchdowns. In today's video, with NFL being back officially this weekend, I'm giving you 5 predictions on the season. So if you like my predictions, like the video. If you hate the predictions, still like the video. And comment down below also what you think I'm wrong about. So let's get into it. Prediction number 1 for the new NFL season is Josh Allen will win MVP. Now, this isn't a hot take or anything. I think he's like 3rd in Vegas odds to win MVP right now. But we saw last year with Lamar's MVP, you don't need to have massive passing stats or any crazy historical offensive season to win MVP. You have to lead a team that is well above their means offensively compared to their talent, and while leading one of the best teams in the league. If you look at the Bills' offense, they've lost their 2 main receivers of last year. Stephon Diggs, who, even though he fell off pretty hard at the end of the last season, is still a very good receiver, and Gabe Davis, who I'm not a fan of, but was still a deep ball touchdown weapon for them. They replaced those weapons with rookie Keon Coleman, who we don't know how he'll be, Curtis Samuel, who has always been a decent receiver, but never showed flashes of excellence, and Shakir, who never really has shown much at all in the NFL. And then tight end Dalton Kincaid, who is very good, but only a second year, and running back James Cook is a good receiver. So while they do have good weapons, they lack true number 1 options. But even without that number 1 option, I think Allen will still, 1, rush for over 10 touchdowns because he is the team's primary goal line running back. 2, he'll still throw for plenty of touchdowns and plenty of yards. Not record-breaking numbers, but he will get his. And I think because the offense will shift away from deep ball plays because of the loss of Diggs and the loss of Gabe Davis, he'll actually work in the short and the intermediate range a lot with Cook, with Samuel, and with Kincaid. So his interceptions and his turnovers will be down. So he'll still be scoring well for the Bills, but he'll turn the ball over less. I also think the Bills still have a great chance of winning their division. This division is going to be very tough with the Dolphins and the Jets, but both have big question marks themselves. The Dolphins' defense won't be great, and they always struggle in the second half of the year. And the Jets, on paper, have a great team, but their offensive line, which is much improved, still won't be stout. Rodgers hasn't played in over a year, and they lack weapon depth after their top two main guys. So the Bills could still very well win the division. And one thing that always helps in an MVP case is having massive statement games. The Bills have 5 non-divisional games versus the Ravens, Texans, Chiefs, 49ers, and Lions. Arguably the main 5 Super Bowl favorites. So if they can just steal at least 3 of those or more and he plays great, he'll show why he's so valuable, and that'll be the statement piece on Josh Allen's MVP run. Prediction number 2 is Amon-Ra leads the league in receiving and catches. So last year, Amon-Ra St. Brown was 3rd in both of those categories, catches and yards. So it's not like he's far off from reaching that set point. The Lions offense is set up to be arguably the best in the league. They're loaded everywhere, but they're not loaded so much where I think Amon-Ra is going to lose enough volume. So the Lions will be for sure a run-heavy team, but both Gibbs and Monty typically miss time every season. So there will be points, there'll be weeks during the season where the running game won't be as much of a focus because they only have one of them. And if you look at Amon-Ra's receiving competition, Sam Laporta will be the number 2 option, and he'll definitely be very productive. And he'll definitely steal a lot of touchdowns away from Amon-Ra. That's why I don't think Amon-Ra will be the Triple Crown leader. He won't be a huge red zone production guy. But I don't think LaPorta steals enough away from him in the bulk majority of the field. And then you look at the third and fourth option, Jameson Williams has not really shown much at all in his whole career. So yeah, maybe he gets 500, 600 yards at best. But I don't think he'll be stealing tons of yards away from Amon-Ra. And then the other best receiver is probably running back Jahmyr Gibbs. And again, they're not going to want to just feed touches to him non-stop. Yeah, they'll give him the ball because he's so good. But he won't be enough volume to steal catches and yards away from Amon-Ra to impact this prediction. So you have an offense that is set to be one of the best in the league. They play 14 of 17 games in a dome, so passing won't be very hard. And you have a guy who's the clear-cut number one wide receiver target in an offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown leads the league in catches and receiving yards. So I don't have to go into the talent of Malik Nabers. We know how talented he is. If you don't, you're probably not watching videos for NFL at this time, right? But Malik is a freak of a prospect. He's going to be so good in the NFL. So the holdup won't be Malik, it'll be the Giants' offense. But I think it'll be enough to get him there. The third prediction I have is rookie Malik Nabers sets the record for most receptions for a rookie. So last year the Giants threw 30.5 passing attempts per game. The lowest amount was 29.1. So let's just say for an average, an even number, they have 30 pass attempts per game. Assuming he plays every game, he doesn't get injured, he just needs to catch 6.2 catches to break the record of 104. So he needs 105. If you look at their receivers from last year, Slayton had 79 targets, he caught 63%. Wendell Robinson had 78 targets, he caught 77%. Darren Waller had 74 targets, he caught 70%. Jalen Hyatt had 40 targets, caught 58%. Hodgins had 33 targets, caught 64%. And Saquon Barkley had 60 targets, caught 68%. So while most of those guys are coming back, Waller's gone, Barkley's gone, but Nabers is so much more talented than every one of those guys on that list. He will for sure be the main guy getting targets in this offense. So I think the Giants force feed Nabers the ball. I think they realize he is by far the most skilled player on the field. And even if it's just slants, screens, they just get him the ball. They just want to get the ball in the hands of their best receiver. So I don't think him averaging 8 to 10 targets per game is out of the question when you look at his competition. They're going to be like, yeah, why not? And the Giants have a worse running back group this year compared to Barkley. So I could even see them throwing for more than 30 attempts per game just because, well, if we're going to either hand the ball off to Singletary or try to get the ball to Malik Nabers, I'm taking Nabers. So I think he averages that 6.2 catches per game, and I think Malik Nabers sets the record for most receptions for a rookie. Predictions 4 and 5 are kind of combined, so I'm kind of cheating here, but I'm predicting the NFC Championship matchup, the AFC Championship matchup, then the Super Bowl. So for the NFC, I have the Eagles and Lions going to the Super Bowl. I think in the NFC, there are 3 main powerhouses. And while yes, there are some teams that I think could make playoff runs if things go right, that includes the Packers, that includes the Rams, I think it's the Eagles, Lions, 49ers. And I think the Eagles and Lions end up going to the Super Bowl. Now, the 49ers make it, obviously they've been plenty of times the past 5 years. It's no surprise. But like I already said, the Lions have one of the best offenses in football, and they will dominate on that side of the field this year. Their defense is the weak point, but they've shored up their run defense. They have really good interior defensive linemen. Aiden Hutchinson is a great edge rusher. Their linebacking core of Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone are also very good. Their main question mark will be the secondary, but they did try to address it with trades and drafting rookie Teron Arnold. We'll see how they are, but I think they'll be good enough to get into the NFC Championship. Then the Eagles are very similar. When you look at the Eagles, their defense is also very legit. Now, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter have been a little underwhelming, but I do think they can really solidify that interior line. Then you just have Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, great pass rushers. Their secondary is the question mark. They drafted 2 rookies, so we'll see how they play. But if even just one of them hits well, that'll be a huge upgrade. And they had safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson returning as well. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think with Kellen Moore is that now their offensive coordinator, their passing game will be a lot more lethal. Their line is still good, even without Jason Kelce. They have arguably the best 1 and 2 wide receiver punch in the league. And now adding Saquon, I think their offense will be primed to be great. Now, in the AFC, there are a lot more teams that I think could compete. You have the teams from the AFC East. The Jets, Bills, Dolphins could all make runs in the playoffs, especially if one of them gets home field advantage for the majority of it. If Burrow's healthy, the Bengals can obviously make runs. And then the Ravens, even though I don't think they'll be quite as dominant this year, they had a lot of turnover, the Ravens will still be good. In the end, though, I think the AFC Championship comes down to the Chiefs and Texans. At this point, you can't rule the Chiefs out. I honestly was kind of not off, but I thought the CJ Stroud hype was getting a little too much. People were saying he's a top 5 quarterback in the league already. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but one thing that has been standing true is teams that have a rookie or sophomore quarterback that just excels way faster than normal. Those teams, when they put a perfect team around them, can really flourish in the playoffs, even with an inexperienced quarterback. 7 sophomore quarterbacks have made the Super Bowl. That includes Dan Marino, Kurt Warner, Big Ben, Colin Kaepernick, Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow, and Brock Purdy. And even though he wasn't a sophomore quarterback, he was a 3rd year, Mahomes made it in his 2nd year of starting. So that's cheating, but I'm going to count it anyways to prove my point. So I think CJ Stroud making the Super Bowl, when you look at what this Texans have done, their receiving core is the best in the league. They brought in a veteran good running back. They brought in some extra help on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, they brought in Danielle Hunter, the pass rusher, and that's kind of the main key free agency signing they had. But they also brought in linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair. I definitely mispronounced it, but he came from the 49ers, and he's very underrated. He didn't really get to shine with the 49ers because their linebacking crew and the defense as a whole was so good. But their run defense should be a lot better, which is important because they got gutted on the ground last year. And their secondary isn't great, but I think it'll be good enough. So, while if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl, I won't be surprised. No team has ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, and most teams don't make it to 3 Super Bowls in a row either. Only a few teams have. So I just have to play the odds. I think the Chiefs lose in the AFC Championship game, and the Texans make it to the Super Bowl. And my Super Bowl prediction is the Eagles beat the Texans. I think CJ Stroud gets close, but his inexperience just holds him back just enough. I think Jalen Hurts, while he has shown waves of how good of a passer he is, don't forget how good he looked in the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs. And yes, that Chiefs defense wasn't great. They weren't like they were like last year, but he looked so good. I think he can throw on this Texans defense. I think he can run. I think if Barkley just gets there healthy, that's a massive upgrade. And the Eagles, while the Texans have a better receiving core, I think A.J. Brown is the best receiver of the group. Devontae Smith has also proven himself to be a big game contributor. I think the Eagles win another Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts gets his first.